take it back off? Okay. That sounds like a smart idea. This doesn't fit the best in the world. And I'm talking into my mic and I need to be quiet. There, we got it. No, I think. We're ready.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of the Texarkana, Texas City Council. Today is Monday, September the 11th, 2023, as we pause to celebrate 9/11. 22 years ago, our country was attacked by a terrorist, and we want to be sure that we pause and keep those heroes that lost their lives across our nation, fire and police personnel, as well as those who were in harm's way of protecting the public. And as time goes by, more and more of those individuals who assisted have passed away due to health effects caused by that tragedy. And so I just ask that everyone please keep those families in your thoughts and prayers as we reflect on what happened to our country 22 years ago, and how precious our freedom is, and how important it is that we continue to protect our freedom for all of our citizens. At this time, I would like to call on our City Secretary, Jennifer Evans, to provide a roll call. Ms. Evans?
Ms. Page? Here. Ms. Hart? Here. Mr. Davis?
Here.
Ms. White? Ms. Matlock?
Here.
Ms. Williams?
Here.
We do have one council member missing this evening. Councilmember White is not able to be here, so I will be voting on all matters that come before the council this evening. And I also would like to share an announcement this evening. And by the way, those of you welcome. We're glad to have you with us this evening. Very large audience this evening. I'd like to mention to you that there are technical difficulties in reference to our ability to live stream this evening. The issue is with the provider in New York, so it's not a local issue. And so therefore our live stream availability through our city website will not be available this evening. So I wanted to be sure to make that announcement. I see in the audience this evening that we have several young boys and girls involved with our local soccer league. And so at this time during our program, we have a pledge and also an invocation. And normally the pledge and invocation is led by a council member. This evening our invocation will be led by Ward 2 Councilmember Mary Hart. But those young people in the audience this evening, the boys and girls with the Soccer Association, if you would like, I would like to extend an invitation for you all to come up to the front in front of the dais and ask that you please lead us in the pledge this evening if you would like to do that. So feel free to come forward.
Come on, you can do it.
Hey, as a team, let's go. As a team, as a club, let's go.
Oh, how cute.
Mr. Joyce is fulfilling his duties as representative with the Soccer League. Okay? Yeah.
They're so
Okay.
cute.
If everyone will please stand. Okay. If y'all will turn around, the flag is right here. And so we're just going to ask you all to lead us in the pledge, and then after that, Ms. Hart will lead us in the invocation, and then after she's finished with the invocation, you're welcome to return back to your seats, okay? And thank you so much for helping us out this evening, all right? Okay? All right. Go ahead.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This evening, Lord God, we bow before you, thanking you for another day that we've never seen before, that was not even promised to us. Thank you, Lord, for the commemoration of what this date also stands for, 9/11. It was a tragedy, dear Lord, and we thank you for being left here to be free. Lord, we thank you for all of you done for us and our blessings. Thank you for our families. Thank you for this meeting here, the council, Lord, that leads the city and the city manager and all of those that have a part to play in it. Lord, we thank you for our family, and we thank you for all that you provide for us. We thank you, Lord God, for this, each council member and their family. Please be with them and bless them all. And we ask this blessing in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you very much. You may be seated. Just have a few brief remarks to provide to everyone this evening. Last week, our hearts were very saddened in the loss of one of our former council members, longtime council member Willie Ray, who represented Ward 2. She served on the city council for 20 years, from 1997 until 2017. And I had the honor and the privilege of working with her when I came on board on the city council back in 2005. And so her death occurred last Monday, I believe, Ms. Hart, and then her service was
Yes.
held last Thursday at the Walnut Church of Christ. Years ago, the seating arrangement here on the dais was different from what it is now. So Ms. Ray occupied the seat to the left of Councilmember Page that ironically is vacant this evening. And so we want to thank the Ray family. Ms. Ray was instrumental in having the overpass constructed over Lake Drive where the railroad track is located to provide a safer commute for those local citizens as well as those traveling to and from the city each day. And so we certainly want to thank her for her service. At our next council meeting on September the 25th, I believe, we will have representatives, yes, the 25th. There will be representatives from Ms. Ray's family who will be at our council meeting, and we have a special presentation on behalf of the city and the city council that we would like to present to Ms. Ray's family. So if you would also please keep the Ray family in your upcoming thoughts and prayers. In reference to our upcoming city council meetings, once again, our next meeting will be held on September the 25th, and our council meetings during the month of October will be held on October the 9th and October the 23rd at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers. Also, the second annual Texarkana Homeless Coalition Resource Day will be able to, at that event, will provide numerous services to help individuals or families experiencing or near homelessness in our community. The event will be held on Thursday, September the 14th from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the Cross Ties event venue located, it'll be on the lawn at the Cross Ties event venue located at 324 East Broad Street on the Arkansas side. And for more information about services or donating or volunteering or registering as a vendor, you can contact Vashil Fernandez. Vashil, if you'll please stand, that way everybody will know who you are. Vashil is a little short guy in the back, and he heads up our community activities and community service. And Vashil, thank you for your service. You do a great job representing the city. And so you can contact Vashil either by email or call the city. He'll be more than happy to visit with you if you're interested in participating with that. We do have an upcoming show event at the Pro Theater, and that will be held on September the 16th at 8 p.m., and it will feature the Eli Young Band at that particular event. In reference to Parks and Recreation activities, on September the 16th, there will be a 5K run entitled Till There Is a Cure, and that will be held at Spring Lake Park. And for additional information about Parks and Recreation activities, you can look at the city's website or feel free to contact the city for more information. At this time, we'll move forward with our open forum comments from the public. If there's anyone in the audience this evening who would like to address the council, you're welcome to do so. If you are here this evening to speak on behalf of one of our public hearing items, I will ask that you'll please hold those comments until we get to that particular public hearing item. We also ask that you complete one of the sheets on the wall there by the wall rack, or on the wall rack by the back door, or the door over there, so we'll have a written record of your presence this evening. Ms. Evans, did we have any sheets filled out? There were no sheets filled out. Is there anyone who would like to address the council this evening? If you will, feel free to come forward. If you'll please stand at the podium here to my right. And if you'll please state your name for the record, and you will have 5 minutes to speak on any topic. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. My name is Steve Matlock.
Good evening, Mr. Matlock.
I represent the Newtown Neighborhood Association. And first of all, I had a twofold reason for being here tonight. One was to personally thank Vashil Hernandez and David Orr for their support in helping our community garden. And I bought, as I told you when we spoke earlier, something for the council to have so they could sample the things that we actually grew and brought to the table from our garden. So it's a successful idea that's been done in Rose Hill and in Beverly, and especially in Newtown. Some of these folks have got to participate. It's invited more people to come and want to visit our parks and want to visit our little neighborhoods. So we're trying to invite investors to come over there and build houses to help build this community back. We're all about neighborhood revitalization over there, and my job is to promote Newtown as much as I can, and after the meeting, I will be glad to share with you some of the things you and I talked about, Mayor Brueggemann, in private. Secondly, I am a resident of the Cedar Hill community by Texas High School. Cedar Hill Road used to go through Texas High and exit on Kennedy Lane. They put a small blockade there with little crepe myrtle trees. However, it has become a drop-off spot for high school students and junior high students of all makes. The problem that we have is that after school, and I've visited with TISD administration, I've visited with Texarkana Police Department, is that the children gather at the end of our street in groups of 20 and 30 and plot fights. They then take those fights down to the end of our block and they even have a little YouTube channel or a Instagram channel where they put these things on there. It's a dangerous thing. We have seniors that live over there. I'm a senior myself. I know I look like one and I'm proud of it. But there are people who are afraid to come in their yard at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and that shouldn't be. We have children who walk in the middle of the street. The police have to herd them like cattle with police cars, and they still don't get out of the street. My fear is that you will have a young parent who's obviously teaching these children that will come down and retaliate, and then we'll have something super going over there because it has been building. It's usually at the end of the year that these things occur, but now it's starting already early. So I, as a person who lives on that street, felt that I needed to come and say something today. I don't know what the solution is. I actually would like to have the street cut off and have those kids guided down Kennedy Lane or College Drive. That would keep them out of the neighborhood. It ushers them along, and they have nowhere to hang out. However, that hadn't happened. And I don't know what it takes to fix it. The fencing hasn't fixed it. The police department can't control them. The TISD can't control them. My only thing I can think of is getting a fence up there and blocking it off completely and driving them down those roads where it's safe for them and it's safe for our community. Somebody's going to get ran over by a car, or some kid's going to get accidentally hit, and then some parent's going to come and retaliate in my neighborhood. And we have seniors that I'll be 65 on my birthday. There are people who are older than me that live in that community that do not come outside between 2:30 and 4 o'clock in the afternoon because those children terrorize our neighborhood. They move the stop signs around. They change the street signs around. Their parents park on either side of the road, leaving no way to get through in and out. And it is difficult for me in my neighborhood. So I'll tell you, I'm a veteran, and I'm a tough guy. I'm not afraid to slap somebody or their mama. However, I don't want to do that. I want to do it the right way. But until y'all do something, there's that real possibility that I will be talking to y'all from the other side of a courtroom soon, because I need to protect my children, my wife, and my space. Thank you.
I understand.
Thank you, Mr. Matlock. City manager's written down some notes, so we'll check into that, okay? Appreciate your attendance. And also, when you finish that sheet, if you don't mind, if you'll just give it to Ms. Evans. So, okay, all right. So
I'd like to add to
Ms.
that.
Matlock?
Yes, I was visiting him one day, and right about time school out, and they had a group of them. They had the stop sign, and I knew them, so I went up to her and said, "Hey, now you know you can go to jail for that." I mean, they were trying to get the stop sign up, but that's not the only problem. Family Dollar and Dollar General only so many kids can go into the stores at one time, because they say the kids just come in there and just tear up everything. So it's something that the school needs to work on, I think.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Ms. Matlock. All right, is there anyone else who'd like to address the council this evening? Okay, if not, we'll now move along to appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. Do we have any appointments this evening by the council? I do have one I would like to make. This is one of my appointments. I'd like to reappoint Mr. Mike Mayo to the Airport Authority. That's Mr. Mike Mayo to the Airport Authority. Are there any others?
Yes.
Ms. Matlock?
I have one. As many of you know, we're starting a Texarkana Youth Advisory Council, and we had 12 students who applied. So I'd like to make a motion to nominate all 12 applicants as Texarkana Youth Advisory Council members.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Matlock, and we do have those names available in the record, so we have that information. Any other appointments at this time? Okay, if not, is there a motion for approval?
Second. So moved.
Motion by Councilmember Hart, second by Councilmember Davis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. So appreciate those young folks in our community who are interested in serving on our advisory committee, and also Mr. Mayo for his continued service to the Airport Authority. At this time, we'll move along to items for consideration. We do have 4 items on the consent agenda this evening. Item 1 is to consider approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of the City Council held on August 28, 2023 at 6 p.m. Item 2, order number 2023-120, for the City Council receiving and accepting the certification of unopposed candidates, Councilmember for Ward 3 and Councilmember for Ward 5, ordering cancellation of the general election to be held on November 7th, 2023, and certifying as unopposed and hereby elected Betty Williams, Councilmember for Ward 3, and Cole Metter, Councilmember for Ward 5. And so, Ms. Williams, congratulations.
Thank
on your
you.
reappointment.
Oh, it's cold.
And item number 3 is ordinance number
I don't know
2023-125, terminating disaster declaration 2020-003, issued December 8th, 2020, related to the enterprise-wide data or cyber incident. And item 4 is resolution number 2023-122, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Twin City Collision of Texarkana, Texas for auto body repair for the city's fleet department with funds not to exceed budgeted funds in the fiscal year 2024 Fleet Maintenance Fund, Fund 703. Unless a council member would like to pull one or more items for further consideration, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as it has been presented. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Williams. Ms. Matlock, was that your second? Okay, a second by Councilmember Matlock. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The consent agenda has been approved. We'll now move along to our action items. We do have a couple action items this evening. Item 5 is resolution number 2023-099, approving the fiscal year 2024 master fee list. We had a public hearing on this item at our last council meeting, and we're scheduled to vote on it this evening. Kristen, do you have any updates to provide on this item?
Yes, sir, I do. Since our last meeting, we've had some updates come through for TWU fees. Those were included in your packet, and most of them align with the water rate study. So I won't go through each one, but just wanted to note in the case that if there's a discrepancy between the fee list and the water rate study, that the water rate study will prevail. So just wanted to give that update.
Okay, thank you, Kristen. Any questions for Kristen? If not, is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Davis and a second by Councilmember Page. This item pertains to a resolution, so there's not a caption. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The resolution passes unanimously. Moving along to item number 6, ordinance number 2023-102, amending the budget estimate of the revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2023, and adopting the budget and appropriating resources for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023, and ending September 30th, 2024. Once again, we had a public hearing at our last meeting, and we have it scheduled for a vote this evening, and this particular item will require a roll call vote by the council. Kristen, anything else you'd like to add on this item?
No, sir, no additional updates.
Okay. Any questions by the council? Once again, I want to thank the staff for the great job that you did preparing this budget, with also the participation with the Budget Advisory Committee. I want to thank those members as well. And so I know we've got a couple more items relating to this, but just want to pass along my sincere appreciation. So is there a motion for approval of the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Davis and a second by Councilmember Hart. Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
In ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, amending the budget estimate of the revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2023, and adopting the budget and appropriating resources for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023, and ending September 30, 2024, approving fleet capital replacement purchases and authorizing the city manager to make certain purchases authorized by law, approving capital improvement plan projects and authorizing the city manager to incorporate projects into execution of the annual operating budget as funding is available, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith to the extent of such conflict, containing a severability clause, containing a superseding clause, providing for publication, and establishing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ordinance passes.
Mayor?
Roll call.
I'm sorry, roll call vote, Ms. Evans.
Okay. Ms. Page?
Yes.
Ms. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Matlock?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Brueggemann?
Yes. Item passes by a vote of 6-0. Moving on to item number 7, resolution number 2023-111, authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with United Healthcare to provide medical insurance benefits for city employees. We have this scheduled on our agenda this evening, and Mr. Bramlett, do you have anything to add to this item? Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Any questions by the council on this item before we take action on it? Okay, if not, is there a motion for approval? We have a motion by Councilmember Page and a second by Councilmember Hart. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The resolution passes. We do have, moving along to our first briefings, we have 2 items under the category of first briefings. Number 1 is ordinance number 2023-124, amending the city's traffic register to establish maximum speed limits on certain sections of FM 2878, also known as Pleasant Grove Road. And we'll have a public hearing on this item at our next meeting on September the 25th, as well as council consideration at that time. And Dusty Hensley with Public Works is going to brief the council on this item. Good evening, Dusty.
Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. TxDOT has recently done a speed study on Pleasant Grove Road from the service road at St. Michael Drive up to Richmond Road. And a part of that study, they are proposing to lower the speed limit from 55 to 50. They also studied the intersection of Gibson and Pleasant Grove Road, and at this time, it does not meet any warrants for a new signal, but we are kind of still working with them on some possible future enhancements to kind of help make that a little bit safer right now. So with that, I'll answer any questions you have.
Okay. Any questions for Dusty? Okay, all right, thank you very much. Moving along to item number 2, resolution number 2023-126. Excuse me, no, that's next meeting, we'll vote on that. Item 2, resolution number 2023-126, approving a collective bargaining agreement between the City of Texarkana, Texas and Local 367, the Texarkana, Texas firefighters of the International Association of Firefighters for a 3-year employment contract beginning October 1, 2023 and ending September 30th, 2026. Once again, we'll have a public hearing on this item on September the 25th and council vote at that time. And at this time, our city manager, Dr. David Orr, will brief the council on this item. Good evening, Dr. Orr.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So the City and Local Union 367 engaged in interest-based bargaining during the collective bargaining process, which began its first meeting on March 30th, 2023, and culminated with our 7th and final meeting on August 15th, 2023. The union membership voted to accept the contract on August 24th, 2023. This proposal includes departmental restructuring and represents an increase of 5% in FY24, a 5% increase in FY25, an increase of 3% across all steps in FY26, with a cumulative total budget impact of $1.4 million. I'd like to commend both the city and union bargaining teams for their hard work in developing the proposal that's before you tonight, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions for Dr. Orr on this item? I do want to also thank the collective bargaining team. Consisted of our city manager, David Orr, Kristen Peoples, our police chief, Kevin Schutte, J.W. Bramlett, our fire chief, Chris Black, and Julia Ganaway. I want to thank them. And also I want to thank Zach Flanagan, who represents the Firefighters Association. I want to thank Mr. Flanagan for his input as we went through these discussions, and just want to thank those that were involved. Others that I may have overlooked, thank them for their participation as well. I think this is a very worthwhile and successful agreement, and we'll have a public hearing and council vote at our next meeting on September the 25th. Anything else, Dr. Orr? Okay, very good. At this time, move along to our public hearings. Item 1 is ordinance number 2023-103, fixing the tax rate and levy in and for the City of Texarkana, Texas for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024 upon all taxable property in the City of Texarkana, Texas. And this particular item will also require a roll call vote this evening. So at this time, I'll declare the public hearing open on this particular ordinance. If there's anyone who would like to address the council, if you'll please come forward and state your name for the record. Not seeing anyone coming forward at this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval of the ordinance?
So moved.
Okay. Mr. Davis? All right. Ms. Page, you have
Yes,
share? Okay.
yes. I move that the city adopt an ad valorem tax rate of 0.432659 on each $100 of assessed valuation of the total taxable property in the Texarkana City jurisdiction and on the base valuation of $250,924,138 of the T1 jurisdiction and on the base valuation of $65,799,167 of the T2 jurisdiction to fund the city's maintenance and operation expenditures for the next fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024. I move that the city adopt an ad valorem tax rate of 0.217341 on each $100 of assessed valuation of the total taxable property in the Texarkana City jurisdiction and on the base valuation of $250,924,138 of the T1 jurisdiction and on the base valuation of $65,799,167 of the T2 jurisdiction for the purpose of maintaining an interest and sinking fund with which to pay debt service for the next fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024. I move that the city adopt an ad valorem tax rate of 0.65000 on each 100 of assessed valuation of the total taxable property in the T1 jurisdiction above the base valuation of $250,924,138 for the purpose of providing public infrastructure and to pay the interest and retire the principal of the valid bonded and warrant indebtedness and certificates of obligation of the City of Texarkana, Texas for projects within the T1 jurisdiction for the next fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024. I move that the city adopt an ad valorem tax rate of 0.65000 on each $100 of assessed valuation of the total taxable property in the T1 jurisdiction above the base valuation of $65,799,167 for the purpose of providing public infrastructure and to pay the interest and retire the principal of the valid bonded and warrant indebtedness and certificates of obligation of the City of Texarkana, Texas for projects within the T2 jurisdiction for the next fiscal year ending September 30th, 2024. I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.650000, which is effectively a 9.84% rate increase in the tax rate. I'm done.
Okay, so that would be in the form of a motion by Councilmember Page. Mr. Davis, would you second the motion?
Assuming I don't have to repeat that, yes. Thank you, Councilmember Page.
I'll provide you an exemption so you don't have to do that. So, okay, I'm sorry, Mr. Lewis, our city attorney.
If I may interject, going to have to impose upon Councilmember Page after the next vote to read that last part again so we can have a separate vote on the preliminary procedural motions, and then we'll move on to that last subsection B item again.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lewis. All right, so Ms. Evans, roll call, please.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Page,
Yes.
Ms. Hart,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Matlock,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Brueggemann.
Yes. Vote is unanimous on the ordinance number 2023-103.
Mayor, we just knocked out the procedural parts. Now we need to entertain the motion for the ordinance itself. So Councilmember Page, if you could reread that motion under that subsection B that we have, and
Okay.
then Ms. Evans needs to read the caption.
Okay, so are we still on item 1?
Yes.
Okay, we are. Okay, all right. Go ahead.
I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of 0.65000, which is effectively a 9.84% increase in the tax rate.
Second.
We have a second by Councilmember Davis. All right, Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, fixing the tax rate and levy in and for the City of Texarkana, Texas, for the fiscal year ending September 30, 2024, upon all taxable property in the City of Texarkana, Texas, for the purpose of paying the current expenses of the city for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023, and ending September 30, 2024. maintaining a sinking fund to retire the principal and interest of the bonded indebtedness and certificates of obligation of the city, providing for the rendition and assessment of taxes in accordance with the state law, providing that in the event any provisions of this ordinance be held unconstitutional and invalid, such holding shall not affect the remaining provisions thereof in conflict herewith, and establishing an effective date. Ms. Page? Ms. Page?
Oh, yes. I thought I needed to read something else. I was like,
Ms.
yes.
Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Matlock?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Brueggemann?
Yes. Okay. Now we'll move along to item number 2. Ordinance number 2023-100, ratifying the recently adopted budget that contains a property tax rate that raises more total property taxes than the previous year. Note, as of the posting date of this agenda, the reference property tax proposed for the fiscal year 2023-2024 budget is a tax rate of .6500 per $100 of assessed valuation, the same tax rate adopted for fiscal year 2022-2023. All right. Okay. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing open on this item. If there's anyone who would like to address the council, please come forward and state your name for the record. Not seeing anyone coming forward at this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Anything else to read, Ms. Page, on this one? Okay. All right. So is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Williams and a second by Councilmember Page. Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, ratifying the recently adopted budget that contains a property tax rate that raises more total property taxes than the previous year, and establishing an effective date.
Ms. Evans, roll
Okay.
call, please.
Ms. Page?
Yes.
Ms. Hart?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Ms. Matlock?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mayor Brueggemann?
Yes. The ordinance passes unanimously. We'll now move along to item number 3, ordinance number 2023-109, amending PD-88-4 for the site plan approval on Lot 6, Parcel 2, Block 3, Galleria Oaks number 1, located in the 1600 block of Moores Lane. Jan Nelson, power of attorney for Ronald and Rebecca Nelson, owners, and Stacy McKee, agent. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing open for this item. If there's anyone who would like to address the council, please come forward at this time and state your name for the record. Not seeing anyone coming forward at this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval of the ordinance?
So moved.
A motion by Councilmember Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Williams. Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, amending PD-88-40 for site plan approval on Lot 6, Parcel 2, Block 3, Galleria Oaks number 1, located in the 1600 block of Moores Lane in the city of Texarkana, Bowie County, Texas, containing a repealer clause, containing a severability clause, and establishing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ordinance passes unanimously. All right. Mr. McKee, best of luck to you with your project, sir. All right. At this time, we'll move along to item number 4, ordinance number 2023-113, amending Chapter 8, Animal Care and Control, Section 8 through 12, Livestock and Fowl of the Code of Ordinances to authorize single-family households keeping hens and educational institution exception to per-acre livestock limits. At this time, I declare the public hearing open on this item. If anyone would like to address the council, please come forward and state your name for the record. At this time, I declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval of the ordinance?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Page and a second by Councilmember Davis. Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, amending Chapter 8, Animal Care and Control, Section 8-12, Livestock and Fowl of the Code of Ordinances to authorize single-family households keeping hens and educational institution exception to per-acre livestock limits containing repealer, severability, and superseding clauses, providing for publication and establishing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. This ordinance passes unanimously, so I was glad to get through this one without feeling henpecked. All right. Item number 5, ordinance number 2023-114, amending the 10-year water and sewer rate structure established by ordinance number 2022-100 by reducing the Riverbend water service fee for fiscal year 2023-2024 by 65 cents, from $4.15 per thousand gallons to $3.50 per thousand gallons. At this time, I declare the public hearing open on this item. If anyone would like to come forward, please state your name for the record. At this time, I declare the public hearing closed on ordinance 2023-114. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Hart. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Matlock. Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Texarkana, Texas, adopting and approving an amendment to the 10-year water and sewer rate structure established by ordinance number 2022-100 by reducing the Riverbend water service fee for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2023 and ending September 30, 2024, from $4.15 per 1,000 gallons to $3.50 per 1,000 gallons, amending the master fee list to reflect the fee reduction for the stated fiscal year, containing repealer and severability clauses, containing legislative findings, and establishing an effective date of October 1st, 2023.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ordinance passes. Item number 6, ordinance number 2023-118, discussing and considering all matters incident and related to the issuance of sale of City of Texarkana, Texas combination tax and revenue certificates of obligation, Series 2023, including the adoption of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of such certificates. At this time, I declare the public hearing open. If anyone would like to address the council, if you'll please state your name for the record.
Thank you, Mayor. My name's Gene Joyce.
Good evening, Mr. Joyce. Glad to have you with us.
Hey, great touch having my players involved. I really appreciate that, having them do the Pledge of Allegiance. You definitely have my vote when you come up for re-election. I want to thank the mayor. I want to thank all of the city council members. I've been up here once before, so I've had a privilege of speaking in front of you one other time. All of the hardworking city staff, as chairman of planning and zoning, I know exactly how hard these individuals work. And I want to thank all of those who came to support the association tonight. As I stated, my name is Gene Joyce. I currently serve as the president of Texarkana Soccer Association, where I've served in this position for 12 years. Overall, I've been with the association in one role or another for the past 15 years. I also serve the city, as well as you guys, as in the position of chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and have served there for 20 some odd years, possibly. The City of Texarkana, Texas, and Texarkana Soccer Association have shared a very long history since our inception of the fall of 1977. We actually just celebrated our 45th anniversary out at Grady T. Wallace, which was a tremendously well attended event. The city was extremely kind to allow us back in 1977 the use of the outfields in Spring Lake Park where we could play our games, which we were grateful for. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Sacred Heart Church and the Racquet Club and many other businesses that allowed us to use their property at the time as well. However, in the spring of 1992, we were able to have our own fields when the city helped us relocate to Grady T. Wallace. This allowed us to finally become a two-season sport, which helped us expand our programs. When we were on the baseball fields, we could only play in the fall. With the move, we were able to play both seasons. I'm sure that's probably when Dixie started fall baseball, when we got off of their fields, would be my guess. Since 1992, Texarkana Soccer Association has spent an estimated $375,000 on the fields at Grady since 1992. This includes a $40,000 fence, irrigation, lights, dirt work, canopy shade, and a minimum of, I believe it's $12,500 a year that we put into the property. I would also like to include that the association also gives away approximately $11,000 a year in awarded scholarships to recreational players to play soccer. In addition to the $11,000 we give away to the recreational families, we also give $3,000 a year, $3,000 a year with our Texarkana Soccer Club Award of Excellence, which is our scholarship, which is awarded to our older competitive players. Those are $1,000 apiece. The criteria for Texarkana Soccer Club Award of Excellence is simple. Players must show by example that they understand and follow our core values, which are faith, integrity, pride, compassion, commitment, and discipline. We try to work hard in fulfilling our social responsibility to the community. The partnership we share, I believe, has been extremely beneficial for both parties. The association feels that we have been good stewards of Grady T. Wallace, as seen with the estimated $375,000 that we spent since 1992. I would like to read just a couple quick statistics to you, please. Recreational players, spring 2023, 1,180. That's U5 to U14 players. Recreational first kickers, that's 3 and 4 year olds, 120 players. That's 18 Saturdays of recreational games throughout the year. 3,000 players and spectators visit Grady 18 Saturdays out of the year. 51,000 people visit Grady for recreational purposes a year. 65 recreational games are played each Saturday for 18 weeks. 1,240 recreational games are played each year. Roughly 275 players of our players come from our metropolitan statistical area, which is not Texarkana. So these players come from Hooks, New Boston, Ashdown, Nashville, Genoa, all over the place. Metropolitan, these players alone, not our players in town, but the Metropolitan Statistical Association recreational players bring economic impact to Texarkana. It is estimated that 200 tanks of gas are filled 18 Saturdays out of the year. That's 3,400 tanks of gas. We estimate that 450 meals are eaten between players and spectators each Saturday for 18 Saturdays. That's 7,000 meals a year that people are eating in the town of Texarkana. Our competitive program, Texarkana Soccer Club, currently has 11 teams ranging from U11 to U19, girls and boys. Texarkana Soccer competitive players play games in Tyler, Longview, Dallas, Little Rock, Memphis, Alabama, Shreveport, Austin, Tulsa, Mississippi, and as far away as Minnesota. TSC has won multiple state championships. They have had at least one team in the finals the last 6 years and have won at 4 of the last 6. Currently, 175 players are enrolled in our competitive program. Competitive teams average 440 games a year as a club. Each team averages 6 home games, so that translates into 900 visiting players visiting Grady yearly, 1,800 when including spectators, 900 tanks of gas, 1,800 meals. Economic impact for our community. We also do a 3v3 tournament, which has 360 players, 60 teams that participate, and these teams come from throughout the entire region. The passage of this bond has multiple purposes. Grady needs to be improved just for our recreational program. We don't have sidewalks. Our bathrooms can't accommodate our 1,400 players. The last major improvement that was made was in 2007 with our concession stand. It may have been 2006. You should try to see our elderly try to watch soccer games when there are no sidewalks and they have to try to park along the fence. Bathrooms, parking, lack of sidewalks, lack of shade. All of things are quality of life issues that we feel need to be and hopefully can be improved with the passage of this bond. Economic impact. Grady will become, trust me when I tell you this, I've played all over the place. Grady has great bones. It is a great park, and it's going to be a phenomenal park when this bond is passed. Grady will become a premier regional showcase soccer facility. It will. Teams will be attracted to compete in Texarkana because of the quality of the park and the logistical location. As everybody here knows, we are in a great place between Little Rock and Dallas and Shreveport and Tyler. That's the reason why we have our interstates and need more. This passage will allow Texarkana Soccer to host a truly first-class tournament, which we would like to do to further our economic impact on the community. So twofold with the passage of this bond. In closing, I'd like to thank everyone here. I need to thank all the supporters of Texarkana Soccer that came out here tonight. I sincerely appreciate y'all being here on a Monday. We already require your time pot 3 other days of the week, so I appreciate you being out here as well. I need to thank all the supporters, the mayor, the city council, city staff, and very importantly, I need to send a special thank you to Robbie Robertson and Ross Cowling with the Parks Department and all of their individuals. Boy, those guys work so hard to help us at Grady T. Wallace. And they sometimes do that on a limited budget, and we sincerely appreciate the hard work that they put into it. Great partners to work with, the Parks Department. Again, I would like to thank all of my players. If you would stand up, I call you my players because I am the president of our association. My U19 team tonight is in Shreveport actually playing, and I also coach our brand new U11 team, which several members are here tonight. The passage of this bond allows you to invest in a very, very bright future. And I sincerely appreciate everybody listening to me. I apologize if I was a little long-winded. This is something that I care a great deal about and have volunteered many man hours to. So I'm here to answer any questions on behalf of Texarkana Soccer Association, if anybody has any. You can sit. And thank you to my boys too that came. Thank you to everybody that came out.
Any questions by the council for Mr. Joyce?
Not necessarily any questions, but I have a special place in my heart for the Texarkana Soccer Association as well. My girls played there and had some very, very meaningful time on those fields. Although my last game there, Gene Joyce's team beat mine. But I won't hold that against him for this. But definitely definitely appreciate the time that you've put in, and I do like where the direction is going, especially with the passing of this bond tonight, should the council.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you once again for your service to the Soccer Association, also your service to the City Planning and Zoning Commission is a very, very important. All of our boards and commissions are important, but
it's a pleasure to be able to work with the city staff. I wish my planning and zoning city staff was here tonight. They're great individuals. We appreciate what they do.
So the numbers you mentioned are just, to me, staggering as far as
it's just the tip.
Yeah,
it's just the start.
Right. So anyway, we certainly appreciate all you
Thank
do.
you so
Once
much.
Again, thanks to the players and the parents who are here this evening as well. Your participation is greatly appreciated. All right, next person, please state your name for the record.
Andrew Clark, I'm the general manager of the Perot Theater.
Good evening, Mr. Clark.
And in a first, I'm going to start by supporting Mr. Joyce and the TCA as a former coach and now an assistant coach, and all 3 of my children are part of the TCA. I can't say enough good about it. The team I coached had a lot of children who were of economic disadvantage, many of them in one-parent homes. So it has a great outreach impact beyond what you see in a traditional sense as well. And I commend that Grady Wallace does need new restrooms for certain, among many other things. And it is an association that runs deep. Dr. Orr's oldest son's team and my oldest son teams were major rivals last year. So it's a great fun for the entire family. If you as the council have never been out to Grady T. Wallace on a Saturday during the fall or spring, you should go. In 1977, in addition to TCA's birth, the city of Texarkana, Texas purchased from the old Paramount organization and their third-party dealer for $19,000 the Perot Theater. Following that, an $800,000 gift was given by the Ross Perot family to renovate the theater and to bring it back to its opulence of its 1924-era vaudeville house. Since then, There have been 3 individuals to manage the theater on the city's behalf. First, the city, then the Texarkana Regional Arts and Humanities Council, and then finally the Texarkana Symphony Orchestra, of which I represent. We are grateful to you as the symphony for working with us to bring up to date this past spring the contract, the management contract, to look into and consider the actual ways in which the performing arts work today and how money can be made for the city and support for the management company can be found. I commend you for helping us through that project and helping that grow to fruition and pass. The passage of this bond issue is important for the Perot in many ways. The Perot will celebrate its 100th anniversary in 2024. It, of course, has a long and storied past with lots of great individuals in front of it. It suffered mightily during COVID, as well as in some particular areas that I'd like to highlight. First of all, some good news about the theater. Since the fall of 2022, since September of 22, we have had $1.1 million in tickets sold through the Perot Theater, which is actually a record for a season of tickets sold. We've had 4 sellout performances of both traveling shows that have rented the theater or things that we have presented. 90% of those tickets are now purchased online. Out of that group of tickets, about 40% come from areas outside the zip codes that surround Texarkana, and tickets have been purchased from as far away as Michigan, Washington State, California, Pennsylvania, and Colorado in the last 12 months. On average, there are at least 3 events, 3 weeks out of every month in which there are events at the theater, and sometimes more when we have student shows and other events that occur during the week. If you haven't been to the Perot Theater or seen the activity around the theater on the weekends, you should join us and come. It is now quite a bustling place, at least 3 out of every 4 weeks in a month. Since October of 2021, in partnership with you and from the enhancement funds, that's that fee that's collected on every ticket that's sold, we've spent $170,000 in cosmetic and needed HVAC upgrades to the theater. These are the things that were needed to position the theater to recover from COVID, to position ourselves to be able to remarket the theater to the outward audience of those that would come and rent the theater, and to make it a viable space for our own public. Out of that, about $60,000 in addition to that was spent on an institutional marketing campaign. You may have seen some of the TV ads and other things that occurred over the last 24 months to help to get the word about the theater back out again. As a result, we have almost daily requests to either rent or bring something to the theater, and that's where this bond issue plays an important role. It is a critical time in the history of the theater. Not only is it its 100th anniversary in 2024, but it's in desperate need of a new grid and fly system. The grid that is in the Perot Theater, which is the superstructure that's way above the stage, is what holds all the weight in theater productions: lights, sound, sets, scenery, and all of this is held now on a grid that was built in 1924 of wood. Today they are steel grids, and it's a dire need for us to replace this. It's a safety concern, as well as a concern for us to bring particular shows. The Perot Theater can no longer host Broadway. If you've been in Texarkana for a long time, you will know that Broadway used to come to the Perot, and the only reason Broadway can now not come to the Perot is because it's too heavy to fit into the Perot on our current grid and fly system. Additionally, just like at Grady T. Wallace, if you've been in the Perot Theater and there's been a sellout show or even just 500 people there, it's really hard to go to the bathroom at intermission without having to stand in line for a long time. This is another one of those things that apparently in 1924 they didn't need very many bathrooms, but now in 2024 we need a lot more than what the theater has. All this to say is that the passage of this bond will allow us to take the funds that are set aside to go back to the Perot family, asking them to commit funds in addition to this to help us renovate, as well as to the public in Texarkana to do what will eventually probably be upwards of a $15 million renovation to the theater over the next 10 years, done in phases, that will make it the crown jewel once again of the entertainment and arts district on the Texas side, and will continue the economic expansion for dining. As you already know, Cafe Lucille is partly relocating and opening there because of the new increased activity at the Perot Theater. Thank you for your consideration and time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Clark in reference to the Perot Theater? Appreciate everything that y'all do. You're doing a great job, Andrew, so thank you. If there's anyone else who would like to address the council on this item, if you'll please come forward and state your name for the record. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there a motion for approval of the ordinance?
Mayor,
I'm sorry, Kristen.
that's okay. I wanted to take the opportunity to introduce Jason Hughes.
Yes.
He's here with Hilltop Securities, and he's going to present the results of the bond sale.
Okay, all right. Good evening, Mr. Hughes. Glad to have you with us this evening.
Mayor, it's great to be here. Thank you so much. You have before you a short summary of sale. I'll go through and I will promise I'll hit the high points on that. If it pleases Mayor and Council, we did actually have two bond sales today. We had the certificates of obligation. We also had the water and sewer revenue bonds. And so if it's okay, the way that I've laid out that sale book, I'll actually go through and hit on both of those. And then, of course, those will be subject to separate approval for each bond. So if you turn behind the cover page, there's and then behind that page, there's a page that looks like this. And I'll spend the majority of my time just going through that very quickly. So as it relates to the certificates of obligation, this is simply an extension of what you started on July 17th. So that night you approved a notice of intent to issue certificates of obligation up to $18.8 million. The second half of that page is some really good news. Going back on your general obligation credit rating, in February of 2022, S&P withdrew their credit rating, and the reason they did is because you didn't have financials, given the ransomware attack. And so I know that Kristen and her staff have worked very hard to get your audits back up to date, to give the S&P the information they needed in order to reinstate that credit rating. So for the certificates of obligation, they did rate those AA-. That again is what you were rated before that rating was withdrawn. The other nice thing is not only does that AA- apply to this, your 2023 COs, but also to your open market issues that you sold in the past. Said another way, they simply reinstated that credit rating for those that had been withdrawn. The other good piece of news there, as you can see on the water and sewer revenue credit, that was upgraded. And so as that credit rating goes up, the cost of funds goes down. So that was upgraded from an A to an A+. So very happy with those two things. If you'll turn with me, the next page just goes through on the certificates of obligation. One of the things, as I said on the notice of intent, we actually have a not to exceed amount of $18.8 million. However, whenever Kristen received the taxable assessed valuation from the appraisal district, given the results there, we actually downsized the COs a little bit to hit our debt service targets. So as you can see, we're asking for your approval tonight, $13.955 million. That will generate $14.7 million. And that's because we sold these COs with premium. Premium covered the cost, and then a portion of that premium also goes into the construction fund. So again, $14.7 million is what's generated to the city. That came with a final true interest cost of 4.25%. So that is a rate set, it is a fixed rate set, subject to your approval tonight. The other thing is we do have a call date. That call date's February 15th of 2033, so roughly a 10-year, actually a 9.5-year call. All that simply means is you, the city, retain flexibility to refinance in the future, like you'd refinance your home mortgage, or pay those COs off completely if you have the dollars to do so. So included there is just the sources and uses. And then on that following page is a summary of the debt service on the certificates of obligation. Again, right at $1.1 million annual debt service is what we were targeting. So we're right there. It is 20 years, and again, a fixed interest rate on that. If you'll turn with me on the next page there on the water and sewer revenue bonds, the final par amount on that is $19.915 million that we're asking for your approval. That does generate a full $20 million worth of project proceeds to TWU. That one's a little bit higher rate because we amortized it over 25 years as opposed to 20 years. So 4.437, again, that is a fixed interest rate subject to your approval. And then once again, we do maintain that call feature August of 2033. So, and then as you can see, if you turn to the next page, again, the 25-year amortization for the debt service. We do have interest only in that first year in 2024. And then as you can see, it is level, so we don't have any kind of crazy structure or anything like that. Just very plain vanilla. Behind tab A is included a full set of numbers, again, for both the CO as well as the water and sewer revenue bonds. And then behind tab B are the rating reports from S&P. Again, AA- on the COs, the upgrade to A+ on the water and sewer revenue bonds. And I'd certainly encourage you, council, to go through and you can read those on your own. The one thing I will say is on the GEO credit, I think if you go through and you read that, there's going to be pressure on that rating to move higher, given some of the things, whether it's the very strong finances, the positive movement in the economy, things like that. So I think if I'm here in front of you another maybe 2 to 3 years, all things being equal, that we would see that AA- increase even higher. So congratulations on the rating upgrades. Congratulations on the great sale results. Very happy with both, and I'd certainly be happy to answer any questions you may have or to provide any more detail as you'd like.
Okay. Any questions by the council for Jason? I think considering we're in an escalating rate environment right now, that's a very reasonable interest rate at 4.25.
Yes, sir.
Just slightly so. That's half of what prime is right now, so that's a pretty good rate. All right, any other questions? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate your time. Anything else, Kristen? Okay, all right, thank you for keeping me on track. So, all right, so any other questions about the council relating to this particular item? All right, if not, I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Davis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Williams. Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Texarkana, Texas Combination Tax and Revenue Certificates of Obligation, Series 2023, providing for the payment of said certificates of obligation by the levy of an ad valorem tax upon all taxable property within the city and a limited pledge of the surplus net revenues derived from the operation of the city's waterworks and sanitary sewer system, providing the terms and conditions of such certificates of obligation and resolving other matters incident and relating to the issuance, payment, security, sale, and delivery of said certificates of obligation, including the approval and execution of a paying agent/registrar agreement and a purchase agreement, the approval and distribution of an official statement pertaining thereto, and providing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ordinance passes unanimously. All right, so a lot of good things will be coming to our Twin Cities. So, yeah, thank you. And, thank you for those who came this evening to share your respected areas that you represent in the city. We certainly appreciate your comments and remarks. And once again, for the youth that are here this evening, thank you all for your attendance as well. Moving along to item number 7, ordinance number 2023-119, discussing and considering all matters incident and related to the issuance and the sale of City of Texarkana, Texas waterworks and sanitary sewer system revenue bonds, Series 2023, including the adoption of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of such bonds. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing open on this item. If anyone would like to address the council, please come forward. At this time, I'll declare the public hearing closed. Is there anything else on this one, Kristen? We're good on that, Gary? Y'all are good? Okay, all right, very good. All right, is there a motion for approval of the ordinance? We have a motion by Councilmember Page. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Williams. Ms. Evans, the caption, please.
An ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Texarkana, Texas Waterworks and Sanitary Sewer System Revenue Bonds, Series 2023, pledging the net revenues of the city's waterworks and sanitary sewer system to the payment of the principal of and interest on said bonds, providing for the sale and delivery thereof, including the approval and execution of a paying agent/registrar agreement, a purchase agreement, and the approval and distribution of an official statement pertaining thereto, enacting provisions incident and related to the purposes and subject of this ordinance, and providing an effective date.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ordinance passes unanimously. And this will also provide some great revenue for our TWU system, our water system. And so I know Gary and his employees will be looking forward to that. So appreciate your consideration and approval on this item, Council. At this time, move along to the City Manager's report. Dr. Orr, your report this evening, sir.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. Just a few updates to pass along to you. First off, just wanted to note that we had several graduates from the Texas Certified Public Manager CPM program. So the program conducted its largest graduation in its 25-year history, and we had 2 attend the Texas State University Arlington program, Michelle Daniel, Director of Development Services, and Lisa Thompson, External Affairs Officer. So I want to congratulate both Michelle and Lisa on this accomplishment. Also, just wanted to note, we have a Riverbend public meeting coming up on Wednesday, September 20th at 6:30. And so local leaders and residents are invited to attend this meeting. And as you know, with Riverbend and the Regional Water Development Improvement Program, this will be an infrastructure project that will ensure the safe, reliable water supply for our growing region. And so one of the purposes of this meeting is to discuss the potential environmental impacts of the project and alternatives to that. So there's more information available on Riverbend's website. Also, the public meeting will take place on Rice Street Community Room. That's 303 Rice Street in New Boston, Texas. There's also an online Zoom format as well to join. S&P was covered by Jason Hughes, but again, just wanted to congratulate Kristen and her team on the rating from S&P to reestablish our rating and the hard work that went into that after the ransomware attack. And finally, just a quick update, our latest economic report is available now on the city's website. This report includes new developments that are planned, new retail announcements, and recently opened businesses, as well as commercial construction permits, residential permits, and much more. So you can visit that information and find out more at texarkanatexas.gov/economic development. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, David. Good report. We'll now move along to administrative comments. Any comments from the council this evening? I failed to mention earlier, Chiquita, I want to thank you for the great work that you put in on getting the candidates and everything involved with the youth advisory group or commission. So thank you for all the work that you put in on that. Very good. All right. Any other comments from the council? All right. Any final comments from staff? David?
Just wanted to thank the council for your support of the budget tonight and all the associated ordinances attached, and a special thank you to Councilmember Page for reading all the state requirements for those ordinances as well.
If I can't sleep tonight, I'll call you and let you read that to me again. So anyway, unless there's any further business to be brought before the council this evening, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
We have a motion by Councilmember Hart and a second by Councilmember Matlock. Once again, I want to thank all of those who were in the audience this evening. We certainly appreciate your attendance and participation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you all very much for being here. Hope you have a great evening.